Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? It is January 25th, a little after 8:30. Watching a little AEW right now. uh, Hopefully everybody's having a good start to the year. Looks like I'm about to have one. I am changing jobs, so hopefully, the schedule is supposed to be a little bit better. So that will leave me more time to record videos. And, as I mentioned, I don't record as much as I would like to because of my current job. But in another 3 weeks, I will be out of that and into something much better. So far, a good start to the year for myself. Not so great if you're a New York Giant fan. I mean, I don't think it was much of a surprise that they weren't going to beat the Eagles, but it is what it is. So hopefully you guys are enjoying football. The season's about to wind down, and before you know it, catchers and pitchers are going to report, and we'll be into baseball. But again, I hope everybody's New Year's going well on the 25th day. Um, I did record a video earlier. I actually just took it down because it was about WWE being sold. There's a lot of news out there right now. You know, we're about to hit Royal Rumble on Saturday, which I can't wait for. And of course, the news of McMahon coming back and him wanting to sell the company, and then the news that we thought the company was sold, or that there was a tentative deal out there with a Saudi Arabia investment fund. Looks like, I'm not going to say that's not going through, but you know, right now, just everything seems to be in flux right now, and McMahon is back in control of the board, and apparently he's back in the office now, and he has all these lawsuits coming, and a third one was just filed, about him coming back and trying to sell the company. So, with these lawsuits right now, it's possible the company won't get sold. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how these things are going to affect that. I would think McMahon, saw some of this coming when he came back. I believe he even just settled a lawsuit with one of the female referees from back in the 80s. She accused him of raping a limo. They said that a settlement came of that. I think they settled maybe either the beginning of the year or maybe just before the new year, but that got settled. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of changes. Stephanie is gone. The reason I took the video down is because I kind of fell into the hype talking about the company being sold, and it wasn't. So I thought it was best just to take it down. But the funny thing about that was, it seems like the consensus was the same for everybody. If a Saudi Arabia investment fund, if these people are really buying it, if you're talking about it, how is Sami Zayn going to react to that? And that's pretty much what you saw on the internet, was all eyes on Sami Zayn, because you know how Sami Zayn feels about it. He doesn't go to the Crown Jewel events. He's spoken out, very strongly against it. And, would he want to accept a paycheck? Because essentially, if the company is sold, it's not W's money anymore. It's Saudi Arabia's money. And apparently, other superstars made their voices and their opinions known that they weren't going to be happy that the company sold to them. So who knows what's happening with that? There's been different names thrown out there. Disney, Netflix was thrown out there, Comcast, Fox. A lot of names were out there. Who's going to buy it? I don't know. And, something else I didn't really understand, WB sold their streaming service to Peacock, to, NBC. So doesn't that essentially mean you gave up your video library? And isn't the video library is what's so valuable? I mean, that's what WWE really wanted when they took over WCW. So, I don't know the ins and outs of how this is going to work. Apparently McMahon thinks, this is the point to strike, to sell the company and then get out. I think it's disappointing that he wants to sell, because it's a family company. And I would think, you would want, Shane to take the company, or you would want Stephanie, to keep it in the family. Stephanie say, Dad, I don't want to. Or, Shane's like, I don't want to. I guess I could see you selling it, but I just find it, a little disappointing, because let's say Stephanie runs it. I know she wanted to take some time, but let's say Stephanie said she'll run it, and let's say Stephanie Triple H's, daughters wanted nothing to do with the business. Then I can understand, because you have nowhere to go. Let's say Shane's kids, they have their own thing. They don't want to be involved. And they said, okay, well, since nobody else in the family wants it, now we'll sell the company, So, it's disappointing that he wants to sell it, because we all know why he's doing it for the money. But, it is what it is. They just had Raw 30. I thought he was going to make an appearance where Triple H was saying, who could make this match official? And then Teddy Long came out instead of Vince. I thought Vince was going to come back because, Vince felt that, he got bad advice for leaving. And he probably thought that he could beat the whole thing. But, now that he's back, who's to say more stories aren't going to come out? He already has 3 lawsuits. Who knows what's going to happen? So I would probably say a lot of us can maybe rest easy for now because, like I said, I'm sure these people are suing to block him from doing all these things. So, the company's probably not going to sell for a while. If it does, what happens. But, I'll get more on that stuff later. I mean, right now, this is more about Royal Rumble coming up on Saturday. Like I said, I'm very excited for it. It sets the tone for WrestleMania. I am pumped for WrestleMania, especially since I'm starting this new job. I will not be working on the weekends anymore. I can just come home, get myself ready, get myself prepped, and get ready to watch WrestleMania. But it's about the Royal Rumble. And like I said, there's a lot of news out there going on, a lot of different things. But the big thing, besides Vince coming back, the big thing is what is going on with The Rock as opposed to him coming to WrestleMania, being involved in the Royal Rumble. So apparently, there has been no word on what is happening with The Rock. And I was of the belief that this was a slam dunk, that The Rock was going to do this. And right now, there really does seem to be some doubt. Now, this all could be a surprise, and I apologize if you hear that noise. That's my dog drinking water. This could all be a surprise that they're just trying to swerve us. But a part of me feels like it's not, because what are they doing right now? They're hyping the return of Cody. And obviously, we all know Cody's going to be in the Royal Rumble, and we all know Cody's going to win the Royal Rumble. But if you have Cody winning the Royal Rumble, how can you have The Rock come in later? To me, The Rock had to be in the Royal Rumble. That was the right way to do it. Now, there's talk about them wanting to create another championship belt, and that Seth may challenge for that belt against somebody else, or it could be Cody and Seth if The Rock comes in, and I think that, no, don't create another belt, okay? The only thing that I could see them doing that even I wouldn't like, but would somewhat be better than them just creating this random belt, is you sort of do what you did on Raw, which was you had the Usos, I believe, defending the Raw tag team belts. And they said the reason why they started to do this is because you wanted to make it more believable that, okay, the Usos could actually lose and not lose both belts. That's my dog laying down. Not losing both belts, but losing one. So maybe they will translate this into Roman, whereas Cody wins and Cody challenges for, I'm going to say, the WWE Championship, because that was the title that was on Raw before it went with Roman. So let's say Saturday, Cody challenges for the WWE title, and then on Sunday, The Rock challenges for the Universal title. You can go that route, but I don't like that route because The Rock is not going to walk away with a championship. And then I was saying, well, if you end up having both, you can have The Rock face Roman on Saturday and then have him face Cody on Sunday. But then you're giving it away because nobody's looking to see The Rock versus Cody. You're looking to see Roman versus The Rock. Now, maybe The Rock can't do it for WrestleMania. Maybe he says he could do it for SummerSlam. But then I think that's a problem, that you're squashing the story of Cody winning the championship, the whole big promo that he gave with his father, not winning the big one, and him being the one to finally fulfill it. And I think if you have Cody win the Royal Rumble, go to WrestleMania, and then lose, I feel like you kill all that momentum. Maybe not. I mean, they brought in these new writers, these long-term storytellers who've worked on movies. Maybe they could say, okay, it's not over. Then Cody has to go and win the Money in the Bank, cash in, and win it that way. maybe that's the way. But um, I think if The Rock was going to do it, I think they would have held off on Cody. Either hold off on Cody coming back at the Royal Rumble, maybe have him come back closer to WrestleMania, and he would have had a match, let's just say, with Seth Rollins for the sake of argument. He would have came back and done that, and then he would have won Money in the Bank, challenged Roman, and then won the title that way. But I just think to have him lose is a problem. Like I said, it's not necessarily a guarantee The Rock's not going to be. This could be a swerve, but I'm thinking The Rock's not going to show up, and that's disappointing because to me that's the pinnacle of ending the story. And I don't think they can stretch Roman another year as champion. Can you throw some fresh faces at Roman? Absolutely. You have Braun Breaker. Can you revisit the Braun Strowman thing? He's not a fresh face, but can you revisit Braun Strowman and him? Sure you can. Can you somehow turn LA Knight face and have him challenge Roman? That's a fresh face? Yes. Can you have, I think the Judgment Day, I think that's going to run its course soon. Could you have Damian Priest versus Roman? Yes. Can you find some challengers for him? I think you can. But I think it's going to be rough now to extend until WrestleMania 40 the whole bloodline storyline. Listen, I think it's a great storyline. I think what Sammy's been doing was great. That's why when I saw the whole Saudi thing, I'm like, will Sammy walk out when he's doing some of his best stuff right now with WWE and some of the best stuff in his career right now? Would he walk away? Is his convictions that strong that he'll just say, listen, things are great, but I'm not taking money from Saudi Arabia. I'm out of here. But sorry, that's the other dog sneezing now. So I don't know if you can stretch that bloodline story. I mean, Sammy wouldn't be a part of it, but can you feature a little bit more of Sikoa? Yes. If Naomi came back, could you sort of make that a relevant portion of it? Probably. But, if The Rock is not coming this year, can WWE really stretch it one more year? That's going to be tough, and I don't think they would be able to do that. So I'm thinking Cody's walking out WrestleMania the champion, and then from there they'll figure out how to split the belts. I mean, supposedly Triple H, they said, already has an idea of how he wants to do that. But that's the big elephant in the room coming right now with the Royal Rumble is The Rock. I mean, listen, could The Rock come, enter in, and toss Cody out? Yes. And, that's probably a better way of telling the story. Yes, you've built him up coming back, but I think if you have The Rock come in late, toss out Cody, I think that's better than having Cody win the Royal Rumble and then have him go to WrestleMania and lose because maybe you're trying to hold The Rock for maybe now SummerSlam, So it's a possibility. But my pick for the winning the men's Royal Rumble is definitely Cody Rhodes. There's nobody else. Like I said, aside from The Rock, there's nobody else. Who else are you going to pick for that? And there's nobody right now. There's absolutely nobody right now, and you have to go. And that's a fresh face. That's a fresh person winning it. It's not a repeat of somebody else winning it. I would think maybe Matt Riddle will be back. He's going to re-enter. He's not going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think they'll, they use the Royal Rumble to help further storylines or end a storyline or something like that. Like when Cody and Seth come face to face. Will Cody toss out Seth? Will Seth toss out Cody? You know what I mean? I mean, that's another way that could possibly tell you if The Rock is going to be in the Royal Rumble. I don't know what number Cody's coming in, but also watch for that interaction between Seth Rollins and Cody. Because I think there needs to be another match there. And it's possible that, let's say Cody, wins the Royal Rumble, wins the title. I think Cody's going to feud with Seth, mid to end of 2023 of this year. I think so. But watch for their interaction. Watch if they put them in the ring together, which I think they will, when everybody's down and now it's them face to face. And now will Cody toss out Seth? Will Seth toss out Cody? Will Seth get tossed out by Austin Theory because of Cody? And will we go down that road again? So I would say keep an eye on that. If you see that, maybe The Rock's in the building. Especially if it's Seth who ends up tossing Cody out. Then maybe The Rock's in the building. So that's something to keep an eye out for. But that's going to be my pick for the Men's Royal Rumble is Cody. So next, you have the Women's Royal Rumble, and I did a video on this. You know how I feel about this. I think it's Rhea Ripley's time. I think Rhea Ripley needs to win, and I think she needs to win the championship at WrestleMania. It's definitely Rhea Ripley's time. It absolutely is. She has just been phenomenal in her role right now. I loved how she got in the face of Sikoa. And, because Sikoa seems like the type who would go and give her the spike, and, it didn't happen. But it has to be Rhea. I look at that roster right now. Does Becky Lynch need to win? No. Could you push Becky back a couple of years? Absolutely. To me, Becky does not need to win the Royal Rumble. Could you make it an argument that Bayley needs to win the Royal Rumble? Yeah, you can kind of make a claim for that, because I really think her return has been very lackluster. I think the way they're trying to tell the story and her with this whole group thing, that she should have won the title from Bianca Belair. And I said plenty of times, I love Bianca Belair, but I think her time has come. I think her title run has been overdue, and I think it's starting to get stale. So either turn Bianca heel or take the title off her. But I think something has to change with Bianca. Like I said, I love Bianca Belair, but I think now is the time to take the title off her or make a change of her turning heel. One of the two. But I think right now it's time to take the title off her, and maybe let her chase. I know she's defending the title against Alexa Bliss. I'm going to get to that match in just a second. But I look at that roster up and down, and I say, who should win it? And it should not be, Ronda Rousey should not come back and win. I wouldn't be mad if Shayna Baszler won, but I don't see it being Shayna. I don't know what the hell they're doing with Liv Morgan. I really feel they dropped the ball with her. Her winning Money in the Bank was great. I thought she cashed in a little too soon, but her cashing in. But just after that, I don't know what the hell they're doing with that. So I don't see it being Liv. I mean, if you want to tell me Naomi's going to return, I highly doubt that's going to happen. But you look up and down the women's roster, who is the person that should win? I think you would be hard pressed to find somebody else besides Rhea. I'm sorry, you can't say Becky. Can you make the argument for Bayley? You can, but I still think even if you can make a strong case, I still think it's Rhea. I don't think it's Bayley right now. I don't. I think it's the same thing with Becky. Bayley can wait another year or two. To me, it's not Bayley's time. It's Rhea's time. So Rhea's my pick for the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, the title match between Alexa Bliss and Bianca Belair, I don't think they're taking the title off of Bianca right now. I think Bianca is going into WrestleMania as the champion. I think now we might see Bliss go with Bray. I mean, not Bray, but I think Uncle Howdy. I think we'll see him come out and take Alexa, and they'll go. I think the loss will lead to Alexa, going into her new, metamorphosis and everything like that. So I would be very surprised if Alexa Bliss wins. I mean, maybe she'll win by DQ, but they're not taking this title off of her. And I think the match of Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, I think that's a hot match. I think it's a big match, and it's definitely one that is worthy of being on WrestleMania. So Bliss is not winning. I'm happy she's getting more TV time because, as she has said, she has felt, lost since, she got away from that character with Bray Wyatt. She felt lost, and you could tell that she was lost, and they didn't know what to do with the character. You could tell that. But I think this will be a much different spin on it, and I think the loss will lead to the hand being extended and her walking back with Uncle Howie, and at some point, we'll see the new Alexa Bliss. The next match, I'll talk about the blackout match. Clearly we know who's winning this. My question is with this is Bray Wyatt showing up? Like how are we doing this? So remember when Bray came back at Extreme Rules and the lights went out and they showed like the full figure, the full figure person in the suits of the characters from the Firefly Funhouse, and you had somebody in the Fiend costume. So is the Fiend dead? Are we resurrecting the Fiend? Is Bray Wyatt starting the match and then the Fiend's going to appear? Or all the characters going to appear? I'm trying to figure out where they're going with this. I mean, it looks like we're finally getting some movement with this because this was kind of, idling a little bit. But, where are we going with this? And, are we going to get the Fiend back? Are we going to get an updated version of the Fiend? Are we going to get all these characters morphed into one person? I'm just wondering, where is this going? Where are we going to see this? And what are we going to see in this match? They try to come up with all these gimmick matches, and I have no idea what a Mountain Dew. I guess they're the sponsor, but it's a pitch black match. No idea what's this supposed to look like, but I am of the belief that Bray's going to come out as Bray, and either Howdy's going to come out somehow, or will we see the Fiend? I'm just curious. I would like the Fiend to come back. I think you can restore it. I know Vince ruined it, but I think you can. I think it's repairable, especially since so much time has gone by. I think you can bring that character back and give it the justice that it deserves. And then the last match, of course, is the Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens match. As we know, this is not going anywhere. The question is this going to be what leads us into having the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami at WrestleMania? So I'm thinking this could go one of two ways. Sami has the opportunity to help Roman keep his title, and he doesn't take it. Remember back in it was at when they had the pay-per-view New Year's Revolution. It was an Elimination Chamber match. I think it was 2005. It had to be 2005 because Randy Orton won the title in SummerSlam of 2004. That he lost it right after an Unforgiven. Right. And I don't think Royal Rumble happened yet. Okay. All right. Sorry. I had to talk to myself to try to remember this timeline. Okay. Yes. I believe it was 2005, New Year's Revolution. They were doing the Elimination Chamber match. Evolution, well, what was left of Evolution was in the match. And there was a point where Randy was pitting Batista. And Triple H was in the corner, and he started to save him, but then he stopped and let Dave get eliminated. And, of course, Triple H ended up winning the match, and then, on Raw, Randy shows the footage, and, that kind of helps with the dissension, and then, Batista wins the Royal Rumble, and then you know how that whole thing went. I'm wondering if we're going to see something like that, where Sami either sees something like, let's say Kevin Owens uses, brass knuckles or something like that. And Sami has an opportunity to prevent that from happening, and he doesn't take it. and Kevin hits him. He's going to pin Roman. Let's say Solo pulls the referee out or pulls or does something to end up saving Roman. But my point is that there's going to be an opportunity where Sammy can help Roman, but doesn't take it. It's not going to cost him the match, but it's just the fact that he didn't take it. And I think if they go that route, you will see Roman attack Sammy. And maybe Jay will be. And by the way, I will say that was a very nice touch that they did on Raw with Jay being the one to defend Sammy. As much as Jay hated Sammy, it was a very nice touch that now this is the guy who is standing up and defending him. I thought that was a very nice touch. But I think Sikoa, Solo, and Roman beat the crap out of Sami Zayn while either both Usos look on or maybe just Jay looks on, whatever, and then they kind of go through the whole thing. And then that will lead to maybe Sammy versus Roman at Elimination Chamber or something like that. And then eventually it'll be it'll be Kevin Owens and Sammy versus the Usos for the Tag Team Championships. And then will it be for both titles or will it be for one set of belts? That we have to, see. I kind of have an idea of what I would like to see, but I'm going to hold off to see what happens after the Royal Rumble. But I think that's going to happen. Or Sammy does what he has to do to help Roman. And maybe Sammy thinks this is done, but Roman is like, no, we're not done. I want this done. I took care of him, but now you're going to go out there, do what you didn't do the last time, and you're going to face him, maybe put him in some kind of match, or maybe get Kevin in a position where, they have to give him, not a concerto, but something similar. They want Sammy to, they beat down Kevin, and they want Sammy to give that final blow, and Sammy refuses, and then maybe Roman turns on, Sammy. But I think that turn is coming soon. I think the turn is either coming at the Royal Rumble or afterwards, but somehow I think now we're going to see Sammy starting to be booted out of the bloodline. Roman's going to win either way. We know Roman is walking out either way, but Sammy's going to be put in that position where, haven't I proven myself enough? Or maybe Sammy just gets annoyed and he attacks Roman, but I just see him being kicked out of it. That's how I see that happening. It's one of those scenarios. I think Sammy has the opportunity to save Roman, he doesn't take it, and they beat him down. Or Sammy helps Roman, but still thinks there's still a little something there. They get a hold of Kevin, they beat him down. This is happening either on Raw or SmackDown. They beat him down, and he refuses to put that final nail in the coffin. And then in between that and WrestleMania, we might see a one-on-one match with Sammy, And, they get Sammy in a vulnerable position, and now Kevin Owens has to come out and save him. Something to that degree. I think that's what's going to happen. But that's my predictions for the Royal Rumble. I'm saying the men's Royal Rumble winner is going to be Cody. I don't know what number he's going to come in at. The women's Royal Rumble, I am saying Rhea Ripley. Bray Wyatt obviously going to win the Pitch Black match. Bianca Belair defending the Raw, retaining her Raw Women's title, and Roman, of course, keeping both titles. And we can sort of not reset, but see where things are going. We saw Brock Lesnar come back. There's been talk of who Brock is going to face. There was rumors that there's an offer for him to face Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's the rumor that, he was going to face Bobby Lashley. There's a rumor that they were even thinking about going back to Roman. There was a rumor that it was going to be Gunther. And that's what I was saying about Brock. Brock has faced everybody. Who is really left for him to face? Yes, he could finish the story with Bobby Lashley, but after Bobby, he's done his thing with Drew McIntyre. Do we want to see Sheamus and Brock? No. Do you want to see Brock and Seth again? No. Do you want to see Brock and Roman again? No. Could they do Brock and Gunther again? Sorry, could they do Brock and Gunther? Eh, yeah, but I think too many times they've made Gunther look too vulnerable, especially with him, running from Braun Strowman in the beginning. I know he beat Braun, but you know, they haven't made him look the way you would think they would if you, excuse me, if you wanted him to face Brock Lesnar. You know, that doesn't really like give it, excite me. I mean, there was talk about him versus that Gabe Stevenson guy because they wanted him to be the new Brock Lesnar. It's getting tough. Now, could I see Brock versus Braun Breaker? Maybe in another year or two. But it's getting tough to find opponents for Brock that you're not repeating. I mean, could we eventually see Brock versus Cody? I think so. But, obviously not now. But could that be something that happens next year's Royal Rumble or next year's WrestleMania or next year's SummerSlam? Maybe it could happen at Survivor Series this year. It's a possibility. But it's getting tougher for Brock. Either Brock doesn't want to work with certain people, because another match that's out there is Brock versus Riddle. But he doesn't want to do that. So it's getting hard. Could they go back to Brock versus Finn because that was really a one-off? I mean, they could, but I don't think that gets the juices flowing. Could you do a Brock versus an Austin Theory somewhere down the road? I think you could, but I think it's a safe bet. I think for them to just let them have Bobby versus Brock at WrestleMania and call it a day. And then try to figure out what you want to do with Brock at SummerSlam or Survivor Series because, Brock usually just does the big pay-per-views. They are going back to Saudi Arabia. Who's he going to face there? I have no idea. But, I think we've seen Roman and Brock enough. And yes, it's been several years since we've seen Brock versus Seth, but I don't think we need to go back to that. Could you still get more out of Brock and Drew? Maybe. I would probably just leave that alone. But that's something they got to work on. If Brock is going to keep going for another couple of years, you need to find better and believable opponents for him. And I think Gunther wouldn't work right now because I think you didn't make him look the best when he was going up against Braun. Would they do a Bray Wyatt versus Brock? I mean, he did Goldberg and Bray, right? Yeah. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think about that. I just think time's running out for Brock. And that's the other thing. They want to make this WrestleMania big. They're trying to get Stone Cold back. Obviously, they want The Rock. Now about John Cena. So things were sort of flipping a little bit with John Cena because, originally it was supposed to be John versus Austin Theory. That was the plan. Then it shifted to Logan Paul. I guess you could do Brock versus Logan Paul. And then it shifted to Logan Paul. And I'm sorry. I don't want to see John Cena versus Logan. I do not see any appeal in that. I would much rather see Brock versus Logan, not Cena versus Logan Paul. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. But it looks like they're going to go back that route because I did notice this, and I read it later online. I noticed, and if you noticed, Theory said the champ is here. And if you remember the story, I can't think of his name, Crime Time, not Shad Gaspar, but the other person was his partner. Shad unfortunately passed away when he was saving his son from drowning. Sorry, my dog is sleeping. It's making like this weird noise. I can't remember the other Crime Time person's name. Maybe I can look it up really quick. But anyway, he had told this story that he was doing an interview, and I think when was Crime Time in WWE? 2009, right? 2009, I think Crime Time was in WWE, and he was doing this interview, and JTG, that's his name, JTG, and Yeah, they were there about 2000. Yeah, about 2009, all that stuff. That's when they were in WWE. At least when they got called up to the main roster. You know. Oh, 2000. Oh, 2006. I'm sorry. Oh, and then they came back in 2008. Okay, so it was JTG. He was doing an interview, and somewhere along the line, a person asked him a question, and he had said, hustle, loyalty, and respect. In some context, he used those three words. And obviously, hustle, loyalty, and respect belongs to Cena. So JTT was saying that, he realized that he made a mistake saying that. He asked the person to please not put it in the interview to publish it. And of course, the person did. It got back to John Cena. John Cena sees him in the bathroom and he's like, I heard about, what you did. You're not supposed to take other people's gimmicks or lines or whatever. And there was supposed to be some glasses that they were going to do for JTG, and it never happened because of that. Childish, yes, very childish for stopping that from happening because he used it. Um, but I kind of forgot where I was going with the point. Oh, I'm sorry. So yes, he used that. So the fact that Theory threw out the champ is here, I don't think that was a mistake. I think that is alluding to an eventual match with John Cena. So let's see if he continues to use little snippets of Cena and just give us that clue. Because just when he said it, I'm like, wait a minute, Cena says that. So is this where we're going with this? Because, it seemed like they were going to, shy away from it. But, they've been making Theory look a little bit better, since they fucked up the whole cash-in thing. But Theory's been looking better. And, I think you can make it believable. And it will help him if he beats Cena. So I think you can go that route. And it looks like they are going to go that route for now. Let's just see what happens. But like I said, the fact that he threw that out there, I don't think was an accident. And you know how they are back there about stealing gimmicks and stepping on it. I mean, the locker room may not be that petty like it was back with John Cena because, yes, you have Roman right now, the way they're building Roman up right now. But taking Roman to the side, I don't think that locker room is like how it was, obviously, back in the day, when Hogan was there and, Kevin Nash and them were running things, and then it became The Rock and Stone Cold and Triple H, and then it became Randy and Batista and John Cena. You really don't have that, today. Before in the past, it was one person. It was Hulk Hogan, and you knew Macho Man was there too, but it was Hogan, and then it became Stone Cold, and then The Rock came, or if you want to go, it was Hulk Hogan, then Shawn Michaels, you could throw Brett and all that stuff in there, but you get where I'm going. That then you had Stone Cold as like the top draw. He was the top guy. Everybody else was below him. Then The Rock started coming up. Then Triple H started coming up. But would you say Triple H was the face? No. You would say Stone Cold was the face. Then The Rock became the face. And then after Stone Cold and The Rock left, it became John Cena. But even though you had Batista actually recently commented on this, that, yeah, you didn't know Batista would get these sort of roles and deals because everything was going to John. Because John was the face of the company. For many years, he was the face. Today, can you say you really have a face? Because to me, the face of the company is somebody who is everywhere. And Cena was everywhere. TV, movies, music, Make-A-Wish Foundation, special appearances at, clubs, sporting events. To me, that's the face. You don't see Roman doing that. You don't see Roman in movies. Yes, I know he did the one thing with The Rock. But, compare John Cena to Roman. Would you say Roman is the face of WWE? Some may say yes, I say no. To me, if you're going to be the face, you have to do what Hulk did back in the 80s. Hulk was the face of WWF at the time before he left. Then Shawn Michaels was the face because Shawn Michaels was out there. Special appearances, back in the day it was more about the talk shows. Jenny Jones was a popular one back in the day. Dottie Phil Donahue was a big one back in the day. Ricky Lake was big back in the day. You really don't see the wrestlers too much pop up like that, like they did back then. And then from there you went to Stone Cold, and you had Stone Cold on the talk shows. You had Stone Cold doing guest spots on shows like Nash Bridges back in the day, and then behind that came The Rock, and then The Rock was everywhere. Rock was doing SNL, Rock was doing commercials, Rock was doing special appearances, and then Cena. Randy really wasn't doing that. Batista really wasn't doing it, but he says he was, but it was just overshadowed by John. Cena was doing all that stuff. Cena was everywhere. The merchandising. Cena, to me, was the last face of the company. Now, Theory, could he be the face of the company? Absolutely. He has the looks to do that. I think he has the talent to do that. The question is, does he have the attitude to do that? That's the question. Yes, Roman is at the top of the mountain right now, but would I call him the face? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't call him the face. And I think that's why it would be a big deal if they have Theory defeat John Cena. That's a big deal. But my point is, and my long-winded way of getting to that point was that's why I'm saying I don't think the locker room is as petty as it was back then. Because when JTG used the hustle, loyalty, and respect line, it cost him, money, because it cost him a merchandise thing. I'm trying to think. If somebody said, fight night, because that's associated with Sheamus may rouse him. But I don't think it would cost him a deal. I don't think Sheamus would go, hey, this guy is using my fight night gimmick, I mean, look what's happening with Ric Flair and Becky Lynch with the whole man moniker. And now it just came out, Ric said he apologized to Becky Lynch because, he was making a big stink about the phrase, the man. But why would Rick care about that? Rick is not wrestling anymore. Rick is not, I don't want to say he's not relevant anymore, but, he's not out there anymore. So why are you making a big deal about her using, the man? I could see Becky having a problem if, Raquel started using it. I can see that, a little bit, but do I see it costing Raquel a push? No. I see Becky going to her saying, listen, this is mine. You really can't be using that, right now. But let's say 5 years from now, Becky's not using the moniker, it's outdated, stale, or whatever, and then let's say Raquel uses it, I would be very surprised that Becky makes a big deal about that. You know what I mean? That's like the point I'm just trying to get. I think the pettiness of the locker room is gone. And the fact that Theory threw it out there, I'm like, that's not an accident that he put that out there. But if he did an interview where he said that the champ is here, if somebody said, rest in peace, I don't see The Undertaker, calling up and was like, hey, why is this guy using rest in peace? You know what I mean? I don't see that happening anymore. So, but that's my predictions for Royal Rumble. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll be back right after the Royal Rumble on Saturday to give my reaction to it. I'm pumped. I'm pumped up. I mean, this is, I get pumped up for the playoffs with football and baseball, especially if the Yankees are in it. I get pumped up because it's exciting. It's an exciting time. And, I was a little nervous when I heard that Vince was back because, this would have been Vince's first WrestleMania season, not there. And, Triple H had to hold a meeting talking about how, nothing is going to change. He's still in control of creative, that Vince might make suggestions, but, he gets the final say. And I hope it stays that way. I hope Triple H can plan this whole Royal Rumble by himself. He can plan what looks like Elimination Chamber, and he can just plan out all of WrestleMania season without him. Because if you look at the WWE right now without Vince, you can see the difference. You can see the difference in the quality of matches. You can see the difference in the way the matches are conducted. There's less bullshit. Like, the comedy stuff has really been tampered down. I don't think it's bad to have some of that in there, but, a lot of that has been cut out. You can see the difference. And that's why I think this year's WrestleMania will really be special and really be great. And listen, for the most part, a lot of WrestleManias are good. I mean, there's been a few that sucked, but I thought last year's WrestleMania with Roman and Brock, I thought the ending was flat. I did. Not everything's going to be a hit, but the first WrestleMania, back after the pandemic, where everybody can be back in person, I thought it was good, and I'm really looking forward to this WrestleMania under the Triple H regime because I know what he wants to do. I'm quite sure he is well aware that this is his first WrestleMania, and he really wants to set the tone. Whether you're going to have the big names of The Rock or Stone Cold or John Cena there, I don't know. I think it's pretty safe to say that you'll probably see John Cena there. Stone Cold and The Rock, I have no idea. I have no clue. And if Stone Cold does do it, I cannot see why he would want to wrestle Brock Lesnar. I'm sorry, no clue why he would want to go with Brock. I don't even recall who they threw out there for Steve to face. Um, and that would be a good question. Who would Steve face if he came back? Who would Austin face? Hmm. Riddle doesn't make sense. Logan Paul doesn't make sense. Hmm. Kind of got to figure that one out. But we still got time for that. But anyway, enjoy Royal Rumble. I will be back Saturday with my reaction again. As always, thank you for listening. Leave your comments, leave your likes, and I'll talk to you later.